Well, hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Josephine Roach, for those of you who don't know me. And I have this YouTube channel that I've started. And for the month of October, once a week, I've been interviewing a breast cancer survivor and having them share their story. And today, I'm so happy that Matt King said yes to me for an interview. I think that male breast cancer, that there should be more awareness about male breast cancer. And I'm happy that Matt will share some of his story with us. But just a little background about male breast cancer and some of the statistics. The American Cancer Society estimates that there's going to be almost 2,800 new cases of invasive breast cancer diagnosed in men in the year 2024. And yes, men get breast cancer too. We all have breast tissue, men and women. It's just a little different as far as the amount. And about, unfortunately, 530 men will die from breast cancer this year. And the average lifetime risk of getting breast cancer for men is 1 in 726. And of course, in women, it is 1 in 8. But I do believe there needs to be more awareness. And I know that Matt is an advocate. I met Matt, it's probably over a year ago, um, through Susan G. Komen. And I think we were at the news station doing a
Yep.
little, I know we were actually modeling, I think, some clothes.
Yep.
And then Matt that year at the Race for the Cure, last year's Race for the Cure, spoke. And I have to tell you, Matt, you spoke and people came up to me and they were very, impressed, and they didn't know about male breast cancer. And they said you could hear a pin drop when you spoke. So those are some of
Yeah.
the things that people did tell me, and it resonated with me and it stayed with me for a year. So I just wanted to share that and thank you. But what I'd like you to do now is share a little bit about your story, how you were diagnosed, and just whatever you'd like to tell us about your breast cancer.
Yeah, no problem. I guess I can go back. We're coming off COVID, and at that time, of course, nobody can leave. So at this time, I'm in the working out, probably in the best shape of my life. COVID is over. I go back to work, and we're playing basketball again. I'm still working out, and we had a like an Olympic tournament against companies. So like we had a basketball, we had a cornhole, and I participated in the basketball shootout. And this particular day, which I felt this pain maybe a couple weeks prior, and just as men do, oh, I'm in pain, I'll get over it, it'll pass. But this particular day, every time I shot the basketball, I would feel a I don't even know how to explain the pain that I felt from my chest down to my abs. So we end up winning the basketball shootout. So just imagine how many times I have to lift my arm up to feel this pain. And that started my process. I'm like, hey, you know what? Something's not right. So I ended up going to the doctor, which I haven't at that time. I haven't didn't go to the doctor for maybe over 5 years. Just I believe it's just as men we think, oh, I'm good. I can walk, nothing hurts, everything works. We're good. So at this time, I was like, no, I'm gonna go to the doctor. I actually got a new primary doctor. I told her my symptoms, and she was very cautious about it, and we, you know, amplified and just pushed this process on and got me straight to getting a mammogram, getting an ultrasound, all of these things. And, you know, at that time, my mindset is good. I'm like, nothing's wrong because even to go backwards, prior to that, in 2014, I felt a lump in my chest and went to go get it checked out, went to get the mammogram, everything. And it just came back as tissue. We didn't do a biopsy at that time, which they actually gave me the option to have surgery and get it taken out. And at the time, I think I was around 21, 22, maybe. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm 21 years old. I'm not getting surgery. Never had a surgery in my life." So to fast forward back to that day, um, I mean, still in good spirits. Like, I'm thinking cancer, thinking breast cancer. I'm like, oh, men don't get breast cancer. Didn't do any research, being very gullible to the situation. Um, and really, I found out November 10th. So a day I'll never forget. It was actually a day before my mother's birthday, which, to go deeper on that, I felt so in pain because this is not a gift that you want to give your mother. Especially being a child, you don't want to give your parents any of this. So I felt bad for that, and you know that started the process of getting chemo, going what 15 rounds of chemo once a week. I lost my hair on Christmas, uh, and that was an emotional moment. I think even finding out, and I'm probably jumping around, but even finding out, getting that call from the doctor, um, I was so shocked that I couldn't cry. I couldn't, I responded as me and you are talking right now. I just responded. But I think after I hung up that phone, it hit me, it settled in. And, the doctor called back to see if I was okay because I didn't give any emotion towards it.
Mhm.
And then I was texting my wife that time and just said, hey, it's cancer. And, the best thing about it, and, it was crazy that I'm bringing this up now because you talk about marriage too, with going through this with your partner, is my wife, her next text message was, she was at work at the time. Her next text message back to me was, I'm on my way. So, you bring up vows and everything about having a good partner to death do his part, to sickness and health. Like, she really, walked on those vows and that commitment that she gave to me. So I picked the right partner. I'll say that. Um, but even going through that, like I said, 13 to 15 weeks of chemo, then going straight to radiation, and then getting radiation for maybe the same amount, 12, 15, and then having surgery, my first surgery ever. And I wish I could show you the pictures because it's like the Bionic Man, but really just in my chest, of all the wires, all the stents that they had to put in my chest to make sure they got all the masses in my chest, which I had. Um, I had 8 little masses in my right pectoral, and then also 2 underneath my armpit as well. So 10 in total. Um, so yeah, it's been an emotional roller coaster even to this day. Like it still shocks me. But I'm getting to a point now where I can't talk about it. Even as a man getting breast cancer, I was very embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody. I think I went maybe I had to tell my team at work because I'm a leader at Rocket Mortgage. Um, I don't miss work. I'm never late for work. I don't leave work early unless it's a family emergency or anything like that. So my team kind of knew something was going on because every other day I was at a doctor's appointment. Um, but I got to the point now where I can talk about it. I was very embarrassed. Like, men don't get breast cancer. To your point, it's a 1% chance that a man can get breast cancer. So I fall into that 1%, which end up getting, like I said, embarrassed. But I think it's a great story to tell. Men can get breast cancer. Men can feel vulnerable. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to open up about your situation. And I am very comfortable now. And I still shed a tear because I had to go through all that. My anniversary is coming up on when I
Yeah.
found out. And, you know, it's something that you notice without even noticing that is coming up. Like, the weeks prior of like, man, why am I feeling this way? Like, it's just emotional. You're in your feelings and
Yeah.
everything. So it kind of hit me last week. And I was like, oh, this is why. November 10th is coming up. So um it's good. Like I'm in a comfortable place. I can share my story, and I love to share my story now, and not just to men, but to women as well, and not
Yeah.
just to men and women, but just hey, go get checked out, go to the doctor, go get a primary doctor, go to those 6 month checkups, because you never know.
Right.
Sometimes cancer doesn't have symptoms.
That's right.
Cancer can be there. It just lives. So unless you take the precaution and take the necessary steps of finding out what's wrong, no matter if it's cancer or any other thing, I'd rather and not let it be a stage 3, stage 4, or terminal.
Right.
So, and I
Yeah.
didn't even say my stage. I was stage 2 breast cancer. So we say early stage, but it's a stage. You have
Right.
it.
Hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I mean, a 4. Like it's as you have it. And I didn't even know that there was a grade as well,
Hmm.
like the grades. So I was stage 2, grade 2. So not as intense, but it's intense to as a man, it's very intense because yes, we're not supposed to get breast cancer, but like we have it. So that 1% is a very strong 1% that we don't take lightly. So
Right. Yeah. So how old were you when you were diagnosed then?
I was 20, I'm 35 now. So no, I was 31.
31. So you can be 4 years. You're coming up on 4 years then as a survivor, or
Yes,
5?
yes. I had to look now. So I found out 2001. So no, we're going on 3 years.
3 years. Okay. All right. And
2021, I'm
you,
sorry.
wow. So you were, yeah. So you were young.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's embarrassing because again, like you said, you don't think, well, men don't get breast cancer. And I guess it's maybe just even the word, right? Breast.
Yeah.
Okay. You're thinking that's a woman's disease. It's not a man's disease. Um, and what were other people's reaction to your diagnosis? When you did, I think it sounded like initially you didn't want to tell people, but obviously your wife, like you said, was a support. And, what, those closest to you, your family, how did they react?
Um, I'll say this, they put on a good face. I'll say that. My wife didn't cry around me, because she just knew mentally, especially the first month of what I was dealing with. My mother, um, she didn't, she probably did cry for sure. She cried, but it was more so trying to be strong for me.
Hmm.
Like I'm a very positive person. I don't like to cry, and not saying that crying is a bad thing, but I like to be very positive about the situation, see the silver lining in every situation that I deal with in life. Um, but I think my siblings probably took it the hardest.
Hmm.
We're all 2 years apart. My sister is the baby girl, so at the time she was 20, she was 30 at the time. And then my brother's 2 years older than me. So 30, 32, 34 at the time. So we were very close-knit siblings. So we took it hard. We do everything together. So
Hmm.
it was very hurtful, for them to hear that as well. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was hard for me, yeah, to tell my family and my mother. Yeah. Those are
yeah.
very difficult people to tell. But again, being a male, and did you realize, was it any different, like as far as advocating for yourself? Like did you feel that you had, like, okay, it sounded like your doctor was right on it, the way that you explained the story. So it
Yeah.
wasn't obviously everything was all new to you, all foreign.
Yeah.
and what was, happening to you. But did you, I mean, when you went for treatment, um, were you the only man there? Was it in a private room? Like, what was that like?
It wasn't in a private room. So at this time they were renovating the cancer floor. So we were all, spread out. But we were all in one room
Hmm.
at the time. And then, towards the end of my sessions, then we moved to the renovated room that they had.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was all one room. Sometimes if you got there early enough, or if you had an early appointment, then you can get a room that they
Hmm.
had, a couple rooms. But no, we were all
Yeah.
right next to each other, basically.
Yeah. So was it more like, well, so then being in the open like that, um, was it more, did you have a sense of like bonding with these other people? I mean, I went through chemo
Absolutely.
as well. But
Yeah.
I was like sort of in a little, two, three walls, and there was so I really didn't see people unless I was going or
No,
coming.
I met a lot of people.
Did you?
Still have connections to this day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, older, younger, black, white, don't matter. Like we all have a common
Hmm.
story.
Yeah.
So, and not everybody there was for breast cancer. So we got to hear, some people are, first time survivors, going on 3 time survivors of having it. So it's my first day was what I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. Like, how am I going to feel? Am I going to be in any pain? Um, when do I lose my hair? What, how do I get better? What can I do when I am in pain? So we bonded, we asked questions, we laughed.
Hmm.
Uh, like we still gave each other nicknames because at the time, of course, was still alive and to this day, and everybody's wearing a mask because our immune system isn't the best at this time.
Right.
So we're just trying to talk and bond
Yeah.
and encourage each other.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
like it's just a very, very tough process.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think that by bonding with other people and talking or seeing other people going through it, I think helps you, and going back to your diagnosis, was it did they tell you the type of the cancer that you had? The type, was it
Yes, it was
um
hormone.
hormone driven? Okay.
Yes.
And did you have a family history?
I did not. I did
No,
not. We did the genetic test.
you did?
Everything came back perfect.
Okay.
Um, but even to talk on that, like I was mad at my parents to go back because in 2014, when I did go get the testing, when I was just about felt the lump, I asked my parents like, "Hey, do we have some type of history of any type of cancer in our family?" Which was not breast cancer at all.
Hmm.
But to fast forward, when I found out, like, oh, we had some type of leukemia on my dad's side, and to find like a cousin had breast cancer uh, and never told anybody. So
Oh,
kind of just lived with it,
see, okay.
and so we didn't know. So it's not
Right.
their fault, but
No,
I
but
think
it,
we could
but
have done
you,
a better job asking questions.
but there wasn't you had the genetic testing and there wasn't a genetic
There wasn't.
component. So it was just unfortunate that you ended up with it, just like, a lot of women that have no genetic, only 15% of breast cancers are inherited. So that 85% is any of us. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's exactly the same statistics for men. But so you explained how you had the lump. And are are the symptoms different that you know of, or are they the same as just breast cancer in general? for everyone? Just something
I'm
I've,
not
mhm,
I'm not 100% sure. Um, Even asking when they're going through chemo, like, hey, how did you find out? Some people didn't have symptoms. Some,
right,
people just had pain and it was a
right,
different pain than I felt. So
right.
every, I can say maybe the 10 people that I made a connection with, everybody was different,
I
you know,
see.
but, with the same as well, because it was painful.
Right.
It was some type
Sure.
of pain that made them say, hey, something's wrong.
Something's wrong. Right. And so then, did you meet or encounter other men that had breast cancer?
No, I didn't. Um,
No.
just women at that time. Um, but I kind of did my research as well. Like Richard Roundtree had breast cancer, and that was like, I guess you could say, the first man to, in my eyes, go public about having breast cancer.
Hmm.
Um, which kind of it helped me. It helped me, but it didn't help me because I'll say just still early in the stages of finding out.
Hmm.
I didn't want it. I don't want this. Like
Sure.
I don't think anybody would want it,
No.
and just to be in pain or anything like that. But it was still seeing the silver lining, seeing the positive of this situation. Like, hey, my story can help so many people, and it already has. It already has already of me. I motivate my team. I have a team of 23 team members,
Mhm.
and we work in sales. So we're talking about overcoming, objections or obstacles that you might face in your day or in your life.
Mhm.
So like I still I would only miss 2 days a week of work.
Wow. Okay.
So I would leave chemo, go to chemo maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't get back to work till maybe early afternoon, and I would work the rest of the shift. I would take off Tuesday, take off Wednesday, and I would go back to work Thursday and Friday, and we worked sometimes on Saturdays.
My gosh.
So I really didn't miss work.
Wow.
I still did all my work.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's it's tough. Even thinking about it now, like you don't know how tough you have to be, you know, until you're in that moment. Like it's not saying I was doing it for my team, but like really my son was too young at the time to know what was going on. My daughter still too young, but she knew something was wrong with daddy. So, but
Mm-hmm.
trying to trying to be the best for her, be strong for
Yeah.
her.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. What
so yeah.
about, yeah. So what about then a support system? Okay, support, was there support groups? Were there certain people you turned to? What did you do, if anything, for to support yourself?
It was really meeting with like some mentors that I have, and their family members. They're close to my family as well, so very close knit. And man, we really just talked, and it was an outlet for me of really building my confidence back up.
Hmm.
I When I lost my hair on Christmas after that, I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to be seen. Um, I think once my facial hair left, my hair on my head left, and then my eyebrows left. And I think once the eyebrows left, it that kind of hurt me and dipped my confidence a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't want anybody to come over and visit at the house. Um, and I don't
Right.
know if this happened to
Hmm.
you, but I felt my mood changed. I
Hmm.
was very aggressive. Like I got an attitude with a lot of people, and it
Hmm.
was not towards them, but I was hurt. I
Yeah.
was extremely hurt. And my mother-in-law is going to see it. I appreciate you for helping me out of all the arguments we got into about me not eating. So I appreciate it. But no, I was
Yeah.
hurt, and
Yeah. Hmm.
you don't know how to balance those emotions.
Right. It's hard because I talk about this a lot. One of the the hardest thing for me was losing my hair because before that, you don't look sick.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you don't look sick outwardly to anybody. But once you start losing your hair, I felt people would know, and then I would know, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
And it was
Yes.
like, and you know, and there, and I also, and so for me, that was hard. And just like you said, um, you know, how you felt. I was angry. I was angry. And I lashed out at my husband because you're right. I was at home. I didn't want to go
Yeah.
anywhere. And
Right.
unfortunately, he took the brunt of the anger of losing my hair because as it's coming out in clumps. And
Right.
one day I threw it at him and just said, look at this,
Yeah.
because I was in so much pain. Look at this, look what's
Yeah.
happening to me. So I know what, that feeling and a sense of loneliness, and isolation.
Yes.
Um, but it sounds like you had a good support system,
Yeah.
at home. And I always, stress that with other, cancer survivors if they're newly diagnosed, that you have to have something that
Absolutely.
grounds you. Okay. Whether it's your faith, whether it's the support system, whether it's everything, whether it seems like maybe work helped you. I don't know. Did going to work help you?
Yes. Um, and I'll say my leader tried to make me take time off or go on a leave.
Mhm.
But if I went on a leave, I would have just sat there in my feelings and
Right.
thoughts. And, I recently just came out and said this, told my wife maybe 3 months ago. I maybe in the first couple of months of me finding out, it probably was around when I lost my hair. Uh, I thought about suicide. I was hurt to the point like I don't want my family to deal with this. I don't want them to see me like this because I've never been this person, a weak person. I felt weak, I'll say that. I wasn't,
Mhm.
but I'm not a never they've never seen me have a down day.
Right. Hmm.
And it made me feel so out of character and feel hopeless. Like
Yeah.
to the point, like, I didn't have enough hair to throw at my wife, but I was like, no, like it's I stayed away from a mirror. I stayed away from it.
Yeah.
So anytime I went to the bathroom, I looked down, I always had a hat or a hood on.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it. I like my wife would tell me, "Oh, you're handsome."
Hmm.
Lies.
Yeah. So
That's how I felt.
how did you come out of it? How did you get yourself out of it?
Talking about it.
Okay.
Talking about it. So probably I talked about it and I went on Facebook because I would normally post pictures of myself or family members or anything like that, but I wouldn't do it. When I was at work, and we have to have our cameras on. When I'm at work, I didn't have my camera on. My leader knew why, but nobody else knew. But once I came out, and it was probably the longest Facebook post that I ever posted in my life.
Hmm.
And it was sorry. It was really me getting everything out. It was me telling the world, first off, it's okay to hurt. First off, second off, men can get breast cancer. Third, take care of yourself
Hmm.
to the best of your ability.
Right.
You don't have control. And it may be what I said in the post is you don't have control over your life as you think you do. Nobody asks for pain. Nobody asks for diseases, but you can take care of yourself to the best of your ability to not have this.
Mm-hmm.
So once I did that, I saw the support that I got from this post.
Hmm.
Um, and it was that helped me out
Hmm.
because, when you're going through it, you're thinking the worst, thinking
Yeah,
the worst, like,
you are.
I'm ugly. I can't do this anymore. I can't do that. And seeing that support, seeing the shares, seeing the comments of everything,
Right.
it was also and also informing men that they can get it. So,
Right.
even
Mhm.
to this day, like I found out he didn't have breast cancer, but he felt some type of way and it made him go to the doctor. And I can't remember what he had going on and not to tell his business, but my story helped him out.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and even fast forward a couple months after that, my job had me on one of our panels at work, and we had kind of like a TED talk of me speaking to, thousands of people and telling my story,
Mm.
and how I overcame it. So it was still eye opening to everybody. My story is going to be an eye opener for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, and
Did
even, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, even after that, it was so many people, came up to me to first off congratulate me and, express like thank you for being strong and telling your story. So, and I think not just myself, but whoever has gone through it, like we want to know your story because
Yeah.
every story is different. Every overcomer story is different. Because we're different. We all have different personalities and different routes and different, takes on life. So
Right.
I want to hear it. I love to hear the stories now. And it
Yeah.
still gets me back in my feelings and encourages me even more. The
Right.
days when I do feel weak or vulnerable,
Yeah.
it's, hey, nope, I overcame
Right.
stage 2 breast cancer. I can do anything.
Right.
Life
Yeah.
life is put in a perspective now.
For sure. For sure. Um, did you as far as follow up, what do you have to do like to stay on top of it? Is there any follow up care that you have to do?
Now I am at every 6 months of doctor's appointments. I take medicine. I take one for it's what the next 7 years now. It was 10 years I had to take it, and the other one I had to take for the first 5 years. So we're coming up on that fifth year, excuse me.
Right.
Because I'm ready to knock one
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. That
I'm
five
not
years.
trying to do it.
Yep, nope, 5 years. That's a good number. That's a good
Yeah.
number for sure. Um, yeah, I often say, when you were talking about how the people were reaching out to you after you did that Facebook post and how that I think made you feel better. And I think cancer showed me the goodness in people.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I meant to people until I had cancer. Um, and I think I look at it as a gift. Because had I not gotten cancer, I wouldn't have seen it. I wouldn't have seen it. I wouldn't have seen, yeah, did I know people cared about me? Did I know people loved me? Sure. But the goodness of random, I mean, my husband's colleagues, it was just
Yeah.
so random and it was just this
Yeah.
goodness. And I looked at it, like you said, and the silver lining.
Yeah.
And we're almost out of time. And I want you to share um, a golden nugget, something that you want everyone to know through this journey, whether it's something you learned, something you want to tell everyone, um, just if there's something that you'd like to share.
But I kind of said it earlier, it's perspective.
Hmm.
Perspective. I think that's the key word for me. And God is good. That's for sure. But
All the
perspective,
time. Hmm.
um, you never know how life can change.
Hmm.
You're never going to be ready for this change and just really enjoying life now. Um, Not letting things bother you. And I was always one to all I can brush things off easily. But like even now, like I said on my 35th birthday, so this past September, I'm not gonna let life stress me anymore. If it is not a 7 or higher of importance, it's it's not gonna bother me.
Yeah.
So like I have a perspective of life. Like I'm going to enjoy it, no matter if it's a a bad day or a good day. I'm going
Mhm.
to enjoy it to the fullest.
Yeah.
So, and then also somebody's always watching you if you know it or not. Somebody's always watching you. And, it I kind of got that when I shared my story and, you know, all the exposure that or the love that I got back was like, man, I didn't know you were going through this. You always were so strong. I don't know how you got it. And it's like, hey, like I love love. I love making people happy. And at that moment, people made me happy.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
shows a great, great deal of how strong people are and how what we can do together.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's really a good message. And I thank you. I thank you for saying yes to coming on and talking about this. Again, I think more awareness needs to be done. Men get breast cancer too. And, just like what you said, if you notice anything, if there is a pain, if there is a lump, go to the doctor. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Get to the doctor because early detection is key and it can save your life by getting there early and I just wish you all the best and I think you're a great advocate and I hope that moving forward you have nothing but good health and
likewise.
you know and so until next time everyone we will see you and thank you again.